Welcome to the Saddle Talk Podcast, where country living meets real talk. Authentic stories, meaningful interviews, and down-to-earth wisdom with a little Southern charm. Saddle up!
All right, welcome to another episode of the Saddle Talk Podcast, where we talk about life, strength, and what is possible when we look beyond the noise. Today, I have another special guest, also a Tuskegee alum like myself. We go way back from Tuskegee days, just hanging out and being young, to now we're both like very professional, and we are both doing positive things out here. So without further ado, her name is Dr. Ayana Robateau. Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, Travis. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the type of doctor that you are.
Well, I'm a doctor of optometry, so I'm an eye doctor.
Okay.
Not to be mistaken with an ophthalmologist who is a medical doctor who will do surgeries and things like that.
Okay.
But I'm responsible for primary eye care. We do things like check you for glasses, contacts. I also manage eye disease, ocular surface disease, glaucoma, diabetes, macular degeneration, co-manage cataracts. So it's a lot that we do.
Okay. So I know, like, when you were at Tuskegee, you was a biology major. So what got you interested in the type of doctor that you are, as opposed to, like, going into sports medicine or dentistry, or what drew you to that type specific field?
It's a good story, actually. It's all going to be thanks to my mother,
Okay.
because I was a biology major in Tuskegee, and I also was in Air Force ROTC. So I had a
Okay.
scholarship to go
Yeah,
into.
you were. I remember
Yeah.
that.
I had a scholarship to go into ROTC after I graduated, but I also unfortunately had some bad knees, and so we didn't end up going.
Mhm.
That forced me to pivot, and it was kind of like a last minute pivot because the whole time I thought I was going into the Air Force. So I called my Tuskegee advisor and I was like, listen, can I get back into school? And he was like, yeah, come on. There was only one slot in the biology department for a master's degree, and I was in reproductive biology, which I had
For a
no
master's
interest
at
in.
Tuskegee?
Uh-huh. But
Okay.
I didn't finish, but I
Okay.
did go, right?
Mhm.
So it was in reproductive biology, which I had no interest in at all, but it was the only kind of like opening available to me. So I took it. And
Mhm.
in my mind at the time, I thought that I wanted to do research and get a PhD. And so a master's would just open that door, and then I could, further specify what field I wanted to do research in, like once I got in the door. And that was the plan and that was the goal. So I was
Mhm.
in that program for, I probably was there for maybe 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. And in the midst of it, I realized that I did not want to do a PhD, because
Okay.
even though I liked the lab work and working in a lab and in that kind of environment, I didn't like research per se. And I
Mhm.
didn't like applying for grants and just all of the back end stuff that having a PhD requires, right? You're constantly looking for money to fund your research.
Right.
You're constantly having to defend and promote your research. And, if it's for you, it's great, but it ended up not being for me. And
Mhm.
at the time, I was thinking about maybe going into chiropractor school. And so my mom, who actually was the commander of the Army Reserve Unit in Tuskegee, she ran that
Wow.
reserve unit. So she was like, well, why don't you just come down to the unit, talk to a couple of my soldiers, and see if something else interests you? Because to her, chiropractor wasn't something that she could see me doing, right?
Mhm.
She really wanted me to go to medical school, but I was nixing that from the jump. So I went to her unit, and it was almost like a round of speed dating. I sat down with these different type of doctors. One was a podiatrist, one was a dentist, and one was an optometrist. And, they told me a little bit about what they did and what kind of, programs the different schools offered. And I was not interested in being a podiatrist or a dentist, but I have worn glasses since I was like in the sixth grade. And so for me, I was like, well, now that I think about it, when I go see the eye doctor, I'm like, it's the easiest exam that I have to do as a patient, right?
Right.
And so I was like, well, I could probably do that. And it really was just a fluke. I talked to her soldier. He was like, I can write you a recommendation letter for his school, which was the New England College of Optometry, which is where I ended up going and getting my degree from.
Huh?
He was like, I could write you a letter, so I was like, well, let me look into it. I looked into it. Turns out I needed to have calculus, which I did not take during undergrad.
No,
So I went
that
back to school. I left my master's program. I got a part-time job. And I went back and took calculus at night to make the prerequisites for optometry school.
mhm.
And then there is an admission test for optometry school. At the time, I applied in 2003. There were only 16 optometry schools in the whole of United States at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was actually way more competitive than I thought it was going to be to get in.
Wow.
But I got in. So I took my test. I got into the New England College of Optometry and I started there in 2003 and graduated in 2007. So I spent 4 years in the Boston area, which was quite a bit different than Tuskegee, clearly.
Yes, for one, it's cold up there. Then all that snow. I lived in Illinois, so I already know.
Right. And I lived in Illinois too, and it was way worse, Trav. Let me tell you. Like,
Wait, it's a place worse than Illinois when it
yes.
comes to
So,
weather. Oh my God,
yeah,
man.
because in Illinois, we get some snow and we get the cold, but it's really the windshield that
Right,
really
right.
drives the temperatures. But up there, it's not so much the windshield, it's just colder,
Oh my God,
right? It's
man.
just colder. And then they get way more snow. Like,
Oh yeah,
the
nah.
amount of
See,
snow is not even comparable. So, yeah, 4 years in Boston.
no, nah, yeah, yeah, nah, yeah. I lived in Illinois, man, and in Illinois, let me tell you, man, like people down here, like I'm in Nashville now, and it gets cold. Well,
A little cold.
I mean, it gets a little cold.
You're
Well,
right.
people down here complain, but I don't complain because I tell them, I'm like, listen, I know what it could be, and I'm thankful
Absolutely.
for it's just like this. And this is only January and February where we get a little bit of
A
cold.
little
Up
bit
in
of cold.
Illinois, man, I mean, imagine it being cold like this, plus ice, plus about 6 feet of snow outside,
Yep.
plus the wind blowing. I'm like,
Yep.
nah, man,
All of the above.
I am good. So what? Where are you at now?
So I'm in Atlanta. I'm in
Okay, so
Atlanta
what
now.
brought
I've
you?
been here.
So how did you get back from Boston to Atlanta?
My mother again.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, that's what's up.
Yeah, my mom again. So I was actually considering moving to Illinois when I finished
Hmm.
optometry school.
Okay.
And my dad was in active duty military. My mom was reserve military, army.
Hmm.
And so at this point, my dad is retired. So is my mom too from the military.
Gotcha.
And they wanted me to be closer to home. They had retired in Columbus, Georgia. So
Hmm.
that's about an hour and a half away from Atlanta. So that was one consideration, was I would have been closer to home to them. The second consideration is really most of my crew from Tuskegee was here in Atlanta,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
so
That
like
support is
it,
very
yeah, it is.
is
That
very good.
community is something that has definitely sustained me and that I'm very grateful for. But yeah, so
So as a optometrist, like, so enlighten me, like as far as like with the eye doctor, like what are some of the things that you do and have seen as far as like your profession goes?
I would, the saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah.
It's not just a saying, it's actually really true. So a
Okay.
lot of times, if you have a lot of systemic issues going on in your body, let's say
Wow.
diabetes and high blood pressure, cholesterol, autoimmune diseases like lupus and MS, all of those things can and will manifest in your eyes if they're not properly treated in your body. And so a lot of times your eye doctor is going to be your first line of defense because you may not go see a primary care doctor all the time. You may not go get regular physicals. Maybe you have health insurance, maybe you don't.
Hmm.
But you can get an eye exam usually at a pretty reasonable price. And as soon as your vision starts to be affected by something, that's when people will come in. Right? They may not go to the eye doctor, or I mean the orthopedic doctor if they have a shoulder issue. But as
Hmm.
soon as you can't see, you're gonna come see an eye doctor, right? Just at the
Right.
minimum to say, "Oh, I think maybe I need glasses."
Right.
And so that's where we are a first line of defense for very many people because we can diagnose things that they didn't even know they had. So you can come into me and be like, hey, all of a sudden I was seeing fine 2 weeks ago. Now my vision's blurry. And then I look inside behind your eyes and I can tell that, hey, you have undiagnosed diabetes or you have
Really?
undiagnosed high blood pressure or maybe an undiagnosed autoimmune disease, which requires a lot more testing. But, there are physical manifestations that we can see in the eye. And over the course of my career, I've been doing this 19 years. Next year will be 20 years. I have,
Congrats.
yeah, diagnosed very many people who didn't know they had diabetes, didn't know they had high blood pressure, didn't know they had sarcoidosis, you know.
Wow.
Um,
I
so
didn't know
yeah,
I didn't know you could see all, I mean, like that by looking at someone's like eyes. It's almost kind
yeah,
of like
you really
if I go
can.
get a checkup, I'm like, well, let me go to the eye doctor first instead of going everywhere else. So, hey, so when you're out in public and you're like talking to people, I mean, because you've been like in a profession do you catch yourself just like staring at people's eyes or whatever, like looking for certain things?
No, not really, because the
Oh,
only
okay.
way you could really tell is behind the eye, and I
Okay,
can't see
gotcha,
that when
gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
looking at you. So your eye exam is usually comprised of two parts. One, when you go to just your basic optometrist, right? So that could be inside of a Walmart, that could be a Vision Works, whatever you know, wherever is accessible and local to you. A lot of people think that your eye exam is only if you need glasses. Like it's going to give
Right.
me a prescription for glasses, maybe give me a prescription for contacts. And
Mm-hmm.
that is definitely one part of the exam. But the second part of the exam is then the health of the eye. So we
Mm-hmm.
actually are looking at the back of the eye, which we call your retina, for any health issues, right?
Okay.
Some of those are eye health issues like glaucoma. Some of them are body health issues like diabetes. But either way, when we look behind the eye, we're checking for health issues. So even if you don't need glasses, even if you don't wear glasses, it's still important that you do get a yearly eye exam because that's the only way to actually know that your eye is healthy. One of the
Wow.
interesting facts, yeah, about the back of our eyes, which we call the retina, we don't have any nerve endings back there in the back of our eye. And what
Mm,
that means is that the back of your eye does not feel pain at all, right? But
okay.
pain is your body's alarm system. Pain is what tells you, hey, there's a problem. Check me out. Something hurts. Well, if you don't have that same response system behind the eye, you can have different things going on back there and not know because it doesn't hurt.
Really?
And a lot of times it will not affect your vision immediately. So by the time somebody comes to me and says, hey, my vision is blurry, and then I look and I say, you have diabetes, they've had diabetes a long time, or that diabetes has been uncontrolled for a long time before I see it and it starts to show up behind their eye and then in turn affect the vision. So a lot of diseases that you have won't affect your vision immediately, which is
Right.
why you need somebody looking behind your eye every single year to say, hey, it looks good. Everything looks fine. Or to say, hey, I see these little things here. When was the last time you had a physical? It's been
Really?
2 years. It's been 5 years. Hey, I recommend you go get a physical, get checked out. You may have some underlying health issues you may not know about. It's not really my place to diagnose that you have diabetes, right?
Right.
But it's my place to say, this could be diabetes and you definitely need to go get it checked.
I did not know this. See, this is why this is why I'm doing this because this is stuff that people need to know and people need to see because when you go get like checked and things like that, my eyes are the last things I think about because I'm like, okay, I can see. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even think about your eyes, like if your elbow is hurting, you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
need to get my elbow checked out, or
Yeah.
if my shoulder hurt, and like me in the bodybuilding field, I mean, I have like joints that that hurt sometimes, and I go get them checked out and
Right.
things, but I've never thought about getting my eyes checked out. And from the sound of this, that's a very important aspect too. But
And
why not? Because they're part of your body as well. You get everything else checked out. Why not your
people
eyes?
people will check out things that hurt, right?
Hmm.
And so if it doesn't hurt and your vision is good in your opinion, then there's no alarm system going off to you to say, "Hey, check me out." And I just think it's not well known amongst the population in general that you don't have any nerves back there to hurt. You don't have anything back there to give you that alarm.
Hmm.
Good vision is not an indication of a healthy eye.
Wow.
People
That-
think, "Hey, I don't need glasses. My eyes are healthy." That good vision does not equal a healthy eye. You can
wow.
have different eye diseases. You can have diabetes, you can have glaucoma, and still have pretty good straight ahead vision, at least for temporarily, right? There's
Right.
going to be a certain point in time when the vision won't be so good anymore. But
Hmm.
just in general, people walk around and like, I see great. I don't need to go to the eye doctor. And I'm like, no, you still got to come in.
Wow. I didn't even know that. I mean, this is like, I mean, I'm caught up in everything that you now you're gonna have me looking in the mirror, looking in my eyes or
You
whatever, and be
can't
like,
see it. If you
I
haven't had an
know,
eye
but
exam, you
now
need to
that's
go
gonna be in the
get you one.
back of my head, like, oh man, I need. But the next time I go to the doctor, I got a, doctor's appointment where I just go get physicals all the time and stuff, especially because I lift weights and stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, hey man, you need to check my eyes out too. Why you at it or whatever.
Well, you
So
gotta go to an optometrist because that's the other mistake that a lot of people make too is,
okay,
yeah, because so I'll get a lot of patients that'll come in and say, "Oh, well, my eye was hurting and I went to urgent care," or "My eye was hurting and I went to the emergency room." And to be honest with you, there's nothing against those people and they're doing good work, but they can't do anything for your eyes.
okay,
99% of the time, they're going to tell you, hey, you need to follow up with the eye doctor. They're going to give you some antibiotics to get you out the door and then tell you, hey, follow up with your eye doctor, the next time
gotcha.
you get a chance. So if this happens, like, unless it's Sunday or Saturday night at like 3 a.m. in the morning and you just don't have a choice, I
Hmm.
always say just wait until business hours because there is an optometrist working 7 days a week somewhere, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Monday through Sunday, there is somewhere that has an optometrist and somebody who can see you and
Hmm.
at least get you started on the right path, even if they can't treat it or want to treat it themselves. But most of the time, you'll only get like a antibiotic from an emergency room or urgent care facility. That's most of the time not going to do you any good. So if you have an eye issue, you need to see an eye doctor.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
No. So, are there any man? Okay. Like now, you got my brain running and working and thinking. Like now, I'm just kind of like. I mean, I'm just like jaw dropped right now because it never dawned on me. Like now, I'm thinking like maybe I need to go get my ears checked out too and be like, hey,
And
I need
you
to go.
should.
Yeah. Because it's like normally people just go get like the regular man. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
just
get
a
a
regular
regular
physical.
physical and you're like, oh, you
And
was fine.
okay,
And then you go
yeah,
about
I'm
your
good, I'm
business.
fine. But I mean, it's a reason why you have an eye doctor and an ear doctor. And you know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And it's a reason why you have doctors who specialize in those different body parts. So I mean, yeah,
Asked
that's food for
my
thought.
PCP one time to look in my ear. Something was bothering me. And she flat out told me, she was like, you don't want me looking in your ear. She was like, whatever I see in there is not like nothing I can do about it. Like, you don't want me looking in your ear. And I feel the same way about going to urgent care. Like, they
Hmm.
don't even have the equipment to properly look
Right,
at your eye to tell you that you need something maybe different than an antibiotic that they'll give you. So, like I
right,
said, no shade to them. They serve
right.
a
No, I get
purpose.
it.
But when it
Yeah,
comes to the eyes, you might, if you could wait, just wait till business hours, 8 o'clock in the
right.
morning, somebody's open to see you.
Yeah. So what were some of the obstacles you faced like getting to where you are now and like what gave you the motivation and fortitude to like push through and like all right, this is what I want to do.
So, I mean, we talked about it briefly, not in the obstacle way, but
Mhm.
really, I spent 4 years of college thinking I was going to go to the Air Force just to
Okay.
not have it happen, try to come up with a plan on the fly because I just didn't want to be sitting around the house.
Mhm.
Then I got into that
Cause
master's
you
program.
was really smart in college or what I mean like yeah you were it was a couple of y'all or a group of y'all that was just like super smart out of this world. I don't know what high school y'all went to, but
Well, I
that high
appreciate
school
that.
prepared y'all very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, y'all were very smart.
Yeah. And I was just trying to come up with something because I didn't want to be at home. And my mom was always a very proponent of your education, right? Because once you have that, nobody can take those things away from you.
Hmm.
And even if you don't know where you're going, to just put one foot forward and keep moving in the forward direction, right?
Right,
And even if you have to pivot or change or take another path, you're still moving towards something. You're not just sitting still and stagnating, right?
right.
And so I really tried, thought with all my heart I was going to be a research scientist and get a. I really did, and I really ended up not doing that. And
Is
so
that because
even
of
this
biology
profession,
250 251? You thought that? Because I took that class like 3 times.
no, you know what? I like lab work. Funny enough, I wasn't a huge fan of chemistry, but I
Okay.
liked being in the lab. And I think it was maybe because I was definitely just more introverted and being in the lab worked for me. I didn't have to worry about dealing with the public, which is definitely a challenge.
Mhm.
But no, and then Boston was rough.
Yeah.
Boston was rough. I almost lost my life in Boston 2 times while I was there in school.
What? What do you mean you almost lost your life?
I'm not even exaggerating, Trav. My car got hit by like a 18-wheeler
Oh my God.
and got totaled out. And thankfully, because I have a praying mother and grandmother
Mhm.
and all those people, I survived that. And I wasn't injured,
Mhm.
right? I
Oh,
was
wow.
not injured. Car got totaled, but I was fine. And then I was working in a optical store, so a place that sells glasses or whatever, on a very ritzy street in Boston, so not like in the hood. And I got robbed by 2 armed men
Really? In Boston?
in Boston on a
Really?
Sunday.
I never know thought Boston was like a I don't know. I guess every area got their good and
I
bad
mean,
parts,
every
but
area does, but I wasn't in a bad area. That's the
right.
thing. Like, if you know anything about Boston, I was on what it's called Newberry Street, which is a very ritzy. Think about Michigan in downtown Chicago, where all the stores and stuff are.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Michigan Ave and Wacker
Michigan
Drive and
Ave.
all that.
Yeah. Same concept, same type of a ritzy kind of area. I was working in a store there on a Sunday, and like 2 men came in and they robbed me by gunpoint. And
What?
yeah, and thankfully that's all that happened. I mean, when you think back on it, anything could have happened, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, Boston was definitely a little rough on your girl.
Hey man, well, I'm glad you survived all that, and you seem to be doing pretty well, man. I mean, I never would have known. Hey, so what do you think lessons at Skigi that you learned kind of prepared you for everything that you're going through like now in your life and in your career?
Oh, so many. I credit Tuskegee with being really the foundation of who I am now. And it's always so amazing to me that you make a decision like that when you're so young. I was
Hmm.
17 when I got Tuskegee, right? And
Hmm.
I wasn't even planning to go to Tuskegee. I was
Neither
going to
was
go to
I.
Clark. Like, and one summer program and a partial scholarship.
Oh, you
Like,
did fast track as well?
no, I wasn't.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a different program that once again, my mom, I'm telling you, she's a credit to who I am here because she worked in Tuskegee. She had, I guess, different information. So it was a science program. It was not fast track though.
Okay, because I
Um,
started in fast track.
yeah, but fast track I think was more for like, wasn't it more for like engineering and
Yeah,
whatnot?
because at one point in my life, I thought I was going to
Yeah.
be an engineer, but
This
yeah,
was
that
a
changed
science
quickly.
program. Like I took chemistry and something else. But yeah, that program and a partial scholarship switched me over to making Tuskegee my choice. And one thing about Tuskegee is it teaches us to be innovative,
Yeah,
resilient,
yeah,
community minded, right? So if
yeah.
all of those things, it really kind of enforces and hammers those kind of lessons down into you. And the other thing, my parents are initially from Belize, so that's a small country in Central America. We didn't have any kind of like traditional Southern roots. We didn't know anything about historically Black colleges.
Well, yeah,
My
what was that like? Yeah.
my only exposure to that really was a different world. Like, really.
Okay.
Like, that was my only exposure to that kind of like environment in life. No one in my family had gone to a HBCU before I went. And
Wow.
or pledged any sororities, which I
Mhm,
also pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority while I was there. And that's also been a tremendous help to me
mhm,
personally develop in my personal development.
mhm.
But yeah, nobody had that experience. And so I made up my mind that I was going to go to a HBCU. My mom supported that decision fully. She never tried to gainsay me in that. My grandmother, however, had way more different ideas because she's like, "What is that? And why would you waste your time?"
Right,
But one of the things that going to an HBCU gives you is a sense of confidence and
mhm.
knowledge of self. And so, people like to say it's not reflective of the real world and all of these other little things. And to me, it's irrelevant
Right.
because what you gain from going to an HBCU cannot be given to you in any other environment.
Amen to
And
that.
it prepares you to walk into every single room after you leave that place and know that if you're not better, you're just as good as
Right,
everybody else who's in the room with you. And so it gives you a sense of confidence and a sense of belonging and a sense of just knowing, because
right,
those are things that are stripped from us. What's the word they like microaggressions now? Like they take it
right.
away from you in little bitty pieces. And sometimes you don't even know that that's happening, right? Because that's the norm. That's a
Right.
normal thing. You expect somebody to say something a little off or treat you a little different or whatever. But when you get to Tuskegee and it's nothing but love from your professors, it's nothing but love from your other students and your other classmates. Like never in a point of time were we in competition with each other. We're
Nah,
there
cause
to
at
help each
Tuskegee,
other.
yeah. Sometimes you all you got, man. I was telling
You all
somebody
you got.
when we used to throw those barbecues at Marable, man, we was feeding the whole school, man.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's just kind of like one thing that I like about Tuskegee is that you got all these people from around the United States all packed into this one little school in the middle of nowhere. So
middle of
it's like
nowhere.
I was just telling somebody, you got the Atlanta club, you got the California club, you got the New York club, the Chicago club. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like me coming from Birmingham, Alabama, I had never been to California, but then you got
Hmm.
the California club. So then I'm talking to all these people, and then you got the Chicago club, you got the Louisiana club,
Yeah,
and you got all of those different cultures. All comprised in one, and they create that whole Tuskegee experience. You know what I mean?
they
And that's what's
absolutely
really
do.
cool about it. I think that I learned a lot from everybody that I went to Tuskegee with. I have memory with. Shaped who I am today. And I can honestly say
Absolutely.
that because I can remember phrases or situations or different scenarios. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I know how this is. Or I remember when I was with this person or whatever. And to me, that it helps you, it helps you with life or whatever. So all those people
It
that say
does.
that's not the real world, I mean, well, yeah, it is because we can go right up the street to go to Auburn. We can go to Montgomery or we can
Yeah.
go to Atlanta. But, Tuskegee is it's a special place.
It's a
And not
special
to
place
take away
even
from any other
amongst
HBCU.
HBCUs. Like,
Yeah,
it's a special place even amongst other HBCUs because I mean, like, really, you would have somebody who needed a ride. Like, it's
right,
winter break, it's spring break. They trying to get home and don't have no money to get home. If somebody's driving, you wouldn't even know this person. It'd be a whole complete stranger. But they
right.
going to Chicago and you going to Chicago. So guess what? All of y'all riding in Chicago together.
Oh, man. You know
That
how many
happens
people
so many times.
Yeah, and
Like,
with me being from Birmingham, it was some people who couldn't make it back to California, Chicago, so they coming with me to my
yep,
house in
they coming
Birmingham.
home with
But
you for the
yeah,
holiday.
exactly, because they can't go nowhere for
They
spring
can't get
break or
back.
go
Yeah,
anywhere. Yeah, so that's why I tell people, man, like sometimes you don't have anything. You go over somebody's house and they cooking for everybody in there or
it
whatever, or maybe your dorm room or your room not ready, so you
yeah,
sleeping on somebody's couch for the first week and a half of school and stuff. So it's really
absolutely.
like a community,
It's
man.
the
Like
community. It's
yep,
what builds that community minded, bond, or it's the community bond that gives us that community mindset when we leave from there
mhm,
because we built it there. Like, where was we gonna go? What was we gonna do? We didn't have nothing but each other. Most of us didn't have cars, especially
right,
your freshman year.
yeah,
So like we were forced to rely on each other.
right.
And it's still one of the best experiences of my life was Tuskegee. And it also, like, when I look back and reflect, even right now, my current day to day, I would still say about 90% of the people that I interact to, talk to on a regular basis, hang out with for my birthday are people that I met from Tuskegee or
Yeah, isn't
people
that
that I met
crazy?
through somebody from Tuskegee, right? Like
Right.
Tuskegee is that underlying connection that, really just is evident in all parts of my life.
Everybody that I interact with at Tuskegee is like, even if I hadn't talked to them in a while, when I talk to them, I pick up like we talk all the
Yeah,
time. You know what I mean? And that to me, that's magical because when I'm with other people and they went to other schools, they're like, it ain't really a connection like it is. And what's crazy about it, so one of my frat brothers, he graduated in well, he pledged in '88 or whatever. So I've only seen him like, maybe at one homecoming. But when you see people like I saw him the other day here in Nashville or
mhm.
whatever. I mean, like when you see somebody from Skegee, whether y'all in
It's
the
just
same thing or
love.
not, yeah, you just
So
kind of like
happy to
what
see you.
yeah, whether you were with them when they were there
Yeah,
or if they not, it's just like an automatic, like, oh man, Skegee. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I always tell people, man, man, it's an experience, man, like no other or
Like no other.
whatever. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that it prepared me for who I am today, because I would say I grew up real quick at Tuskegee, because, a lot of times, when you're trying to balance, you coming straight out of high school, you still trying to find out
Mhm.
who you are. You still got to somewhat politic with your professors,
Mhm.
you still got to do your grades or whatever. Then, you only got one grocery store down there, it's Calhoun's or whatever. Then, it's not really like you got to make your own fun and be creative or whatever.
Yeah.
Then, you don't have a car, so you got to try to get from point A to point B or whatever and stuff. And a lot of things that Tuskegee, it kind of makes you creative, because you remember riding around like
Yeah.
in the Jeep with three. We used to just go like mud riding and do all stuff
Yeah.
like that. So you got to kind of create your own fun. So it kind of helps you develop, like, that whole making something out of nothing, because we did that a
Exactly.
lot.
Exactly.
There's a lot of times where we didn't have money to go to the grocery store, but we'll go fishing and we would just eat the brim that we caught fishing
Right.
that whole day. That will last us for a whole week or whatever. You know what I mean? So that would be fun. We just had to use our resources.
We
Everybody worked in
did.
a
It
specific
taught you to
spot.
be resourceful and creative and innovative and all of those things. And they're lessons that when you're living them, you don't realize how far those lessons are going to take you in your life. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You just there. What else we gonna do? We here for the whole summer. What we gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
It's
but
like,
those lessons and the things that we did in that time that we learned is what drives us and moves us forward now. Like I said, there's no room I can enter that I don't feel confident that I belong in that
right.
room.
Hey,
And so,
speaking of that, I don't know why I always thought you were in vet school or part of the whole vet school, like, or trying to be
my
a
friend
vet.
Misha, you remember Mish?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is
She
she
was
your
in vet
she
school.
is she your sorority sister as well?
That's my
Okay,
line
yeah.
sister,
I
and
I don't know why I always thought you would want to be a veterinarian, or maybe because
because
you used
she
to
was
hang.
the one who was in vet school.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay,
why you
okay.
was probably getting us mixed up because we're best friends. We've been best friends since before we both pledged. And like
Hmm.
she stayed on. So while I was in grad school, she was in vet school. So that's probably
Okay.
why you thought that.
Yeah, I thought all y'all were like wanting to be like veterinarians and things.
Nah,
So
she the
when you
only
said
one who wanted to
optometrist,
do
this I
that.
was just kind of like, oh, that was just kind of career change and stuff. You know what I mean? Speaking of that, vet school parties were like royalty. If you got invited to one of them, you thought you was top notch or
You
whatever.
telling.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they had all the money and all the spread. Like,
Yeah.
they always had all the good stuff. If you went
They did. That vet
to
school had good parties.
yeah, I know they used to
They was
set out
older
all the
than us
food.
though, so they should
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I know, right? And then, it wasn't later. Well, at Tuskegee, I knew vet school was good, but it wasn't later until like I was gone from Tuskegee that I found out that our vet school is one of the top-notch vet schools in the United States. I didn't really know about that at Tuskegee because,
It's
I
so
mean,
many
you
things
don't pay
about
attention to it.
Tuskegee
Yeah.
that, like those type of statistics, like I think, and this may not be as accurate right now, but I want to say it still is. We still graduate the most black engineers of any school in the United
Really?
States come from Tuskegee University.
I can see that. For
Right.
half of the people I knew were
Well,
engineering majors.
engineering major. Exactly. That's
Yeah,
what
they
the
used to be
school
in
was
the
known
engineering
for.
building
So,
taking that whatever that math, C plus plus, whatever he's complaining about
whatever
all the
that
time.
was, it 461. It was something that they
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to,
something like that. Yeah, they all
yeah,
used to
they used to.
complain about that math, like, oh, I got to get out of this C
That
plus
their
plus and
461 was
4 6s.
our,
Yeah.
organic chemistry. That they call those gatekeeper classes for a reason. People, that stuff will have you changing a major if you can't get out of it.
Oh man, speaking of organic, man, biology, man, man, you know, I wanted to be a doctor at one point, and then I interned or not interned. I worked at a VA, the VA hospital down in Tuskegee,
Okay.
and that changed. I was like, no, I can't do this medicine thing or whatever. So
My
then
mom worked there too.
I was just like, you know what? I just want to graduate now. I do not want
Right.
to go to med school anymore because that was just like a depressing thing. And then I was just like, man, biology, my family wanted me to be a doctor, but I really didn't want to be a doctor. But you know
And
how
that's what
everybody,
matters.
yeah, but everybody family kind of like, hey, we need a lawyer in the family. We need a doctor
Yeah.
in the family or whatever. So then once I graduated, they was like, what are you going to do? So I went down to Florida, and then I did an intern at Disney World, and then I met this guy that was in finance and real estate, and then that started my whole
That's
thing in
what.
there. And I went in there because I'm like, I like talking to people and helping people, putting a smile on their face.
Yeah.
I want to be a doctor where I got to come tell somebody some bad news or
Bad
something like
news.
that or whatever. You know what I mean?
And that could be rough.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, if I was going to be in the medical field, I would be a dentist so I can put smiles on people's face. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't
And
want
the
to do.
dentist, shout out to DFin, but that's
Oh
the
yeah,
worst
yeah, yeah.
doctor. Like, I do not like going to the dentist.
Yeah, and he's a well, I just did an episode with him. He's a optometrist, oral and maxillofacial surgeon.
Listen, DFin took being a dentist to the nth degree.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that
yeah.
man is not a dentist anymore. He is literally a facial surgeon. He will
Pretty
reconstruct
much.
the bones in your face, and that is
Do
wild.
you
I'm
know
so
he
proud of
has
him.
a he has a dental he's a dentist and a surgeon. Like he has both
Yep,
of them. He went to school for both. I was like, bro, what you was in school for about like 14, 15 years.
long time.
He's like, I felt like it or whatever. You know what I mean? But
Listen, I was
yeah.
real burnt out by the time I was trying to get up out of optometry school because I had, I'm not gonna call them wasted those years, but I had spent those couple of years in Tuskegee in grad school. So by the time I was in optometry school, I was burnt out. Like there was no more going past that for me. I'm like, I
Well,
just got to
hey.
get up out of here. I just got to graduate. And it was rough too because, and this is where the resiliency of Tuskegee comes in.
Mhm,
Like my family, I don't come from money. You know what I
mhm.
mean? I've had to pay every time I've gone to school some kind of way. And so in Boston, it was the same thing. Boston is an expensive city to live in. And those student loans didn't always cover all of your expenses. So
Oh
I
yeah, I
was
know.
working maybe like 30 hours while I was in optometry school full time a week.
Wow.
And I would work either before class or work after class or work on the weekend. And, it was Boston was an experience.
Wow. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
didn't
I
man.
worked all through optometry school.
Really? I mean, because I know sometimes they say people when you go into med school, it's not good to work. But I guess if you ain't got no choice, you don't have a
If you ain't
choice.
got no choice, you ain't got no choice. That's how I end up getting robbed because I was working on a Sunday.
Wow, man. So you used
Yeah.
to work before school and then work after school and things like that, and then
Yeah,
still do
depending
your
because our
studies.
schedules would change. So sometimes we had morning classes. So then if that's the case, I would go to class first, then work. And
Hmm.
then when the schedule changed to afternoon classes, I would go to work in the morning and then work, then go to class in the afternoon.
Man, you know what? You all's fortitude is inspirational because after I got that biology degree, I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not going. I'm like, it was hard enough getting out of 250, 251 organic chem. It was hard enough
Yeah,
getting out.
it
Then
was though.
I took biochem. I was like, well, no, was that microbiology? That class was
Yeah.
like, and I'm
Genetics. Oh,
like,
I didn't like genetics.
yeah, and then oh man, and I'm just kind of like, I mean, that was enough, man. I'm like, you mean to tell me I got to do 4 more years of stuff like this? I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm just give me that biology degree, and I'm good.
And right.
I'm giving my piece of paper, and I'm
Well,
not.
you know
I'll
what?
be back for
Because
homecoming, and that's about it.
most of the time, a undergraduate degree to me, unless it's like in something like engineering, like real talk, is basically just to show that you have enough fortitude to concentrate on something and accomplish it in 4 years.
Gotcha.
Because no matter what your undergrad degree is in, you can go into any kind of other like school system. Like you could have been a lawyer with your biology
Right,
degree.
right,
You know what I
right,
mean? You
right.
could have got an MBA with your biology degree. You
Hmm.
could like so the degree itself is not the goal. It's the fact that you completed it, right? Because a
Right,
lot of people can't. And
right.
it's just completing the degree because from that point on, you can be trained in any field you want to go into, right? And
Hmm.
then you can go into any other type of school that you want to go into.
Well, yeah, finishing that biology program at Tuskegee, like believe it or not, even though I was like, I'm done with biology after this, it has prepared me and given me like, the discipline to see
Yeah,
things through in every task that I do now and stuff. Cause I mean, it took a lot for me to get out of like, Tuskegee biology or whatever. Some of those classes, like you all were breezing through. I'm like, yeah, I gotta take it again next semester or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, but sticking with it and seeing it through, man, it's like,
yeah.
what I take pride out of as far as getting through that biology program at Tuskegee. Because it's not, even though Tuskegee is not really known for biology, that's really not an easy program to
No,
get
it's
through. You know what I
not.
mean?
Yeah.
You
at
know,
all.
everybody be talking about the engineering and aerospace, but I'm like, the biology,
That biology
them
department,
labs
yep.
was no joke, man.
And their
I,
nursing department is a good department too. That wasn't no
yeah,
easy
yes.
degree to get either at Tuskegee was a nursing
You
degree.
know what we say about the nursing majors? We only see them freshman year, and then we see them when they walking across the stage.
That's
After
it. You
freshman
know,
year, that's it.
yeah.
You know, because and the only reason you see them freshman year because they taking some of the general classes you
Yep.
probably taking, but
Yep.
after that, you don't see them anymore. I'm just
Nope.
kind of like some of them
They
I saw
gone.
freshman year, and I ain't see them anymore. Hey, so what advice would you give to someone, you know, who's trying to go into the same field that you're going into, you know, or somebody who's already, you know, in something similar but want to
Mhm.
switch to your field?
So mainly, so one, it depends, I guess, on where we are in life.
Mhm.
What I didn't know when I went into optometry school is that you did not actually have to have a complete undergrad degree before you went. All you need are the prerequisites, and then you can get those in about 3 years. I didn't
Wow.
realize that till I was in school, and I was in school with. I mean, I was a little older because, of course, I had the detour, but like these guys were like really young. And I'm like, you graduated college already? And they're like, no, I just took the prerequisites. And so that would be one thing I would say. If you're in undergrad and you think that optometry is something that you're interested in, look into the prerequisites for the school because you don't necessarily have to graduate from your undergrad before you start optometry school. And if you
Mhm.
don't graduate from your undergrad, you will get 2 degrees from your optometry school. You'll get like a degree in vision science and then your doctor of optometry. So
Wow.
you'll still end up with like that undergrad degree, but you don't actually have to complete it at whatever situation you're in.
Oh, okay.
My other, not necessarily advice, but this was a profession. Optometry was a profession pretty well known as a profession for men and old white men at that, right?
Mhm.
And so now, as the world becomes more diverse, you're going to see more diversity in your optometrists. But it is actually a really good profession for women in general
Mhm.
because the way that the profession is set up, you can decide how much you want to work or how much you don't want to work, right?
Mhm.
I got out of school. I didn't have nothing else to do. I was trying to make some money from being broke all those years, and I would work 7 days a week, and I could do that, right? But in the same breath, I'm working 7 days a week, and there's an older doctor working 2 days a week, just because they're semi-retired, don't necessarily want to have to work every day, but don't want to be at home doing nothing. And
Mhm.
so it really opened my eyes to the flexibility of this profession and that you can work as much as you want to or as little as you want to. I've
Mhm.
done all kind of things in my job. I've worked in retail, I've worked in LASIK centers, I've had my own like private office. I've worked in other private offices, and now my latest iteration is I'm working at a medical surgery center. So we do cataract surgeries there, and I'm
Mhm.
working side by side with ophthalmologists who we have established do surgery. So it's ophthalmologists and optometrists working together. And so we see everything that all your regular optometrists don't want to see. And we do cataract surgeries and manage glaucoma and those kind of things at this new place.
Mhm.
And all of it has been interesting. All of it has taken me all over and through the city of Atlanta and the outskirts. And, I've gotten to see so many different types of practices, different types of patients. And, I always like people are like, well, what's your retirement plan? And I'm like, I don't really have one per se because I can see myself doing this until I just don't want to do anything. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Even if I just want to come in once a day, like I said, you could find a doctor on a Sunday. I could be your Sunday doctor for, 4 hours a day. And then that'll be all I do, and then I
Wow.
sit at home and do nothing else for the rest of the week if I want to. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility that you may not have in a lot of other medical professions, I'll say.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
Like I think even with like if we do the other kind of doctors like dentistry and chiropractor and podiatry, I still feel like those are maybe a little more 9 to 5 kind of professions. And with optometry, you can definitely kind of pick and choose how you want to work, where you want to work, and how hard you want to work.
Gotcha. So if let everybody know where you're located and like if they needed to get like more information on on the health and the well-being of their eyes, how can they find you or find the information?
Absolutely. So right now I'm working at Clayton Eye Center. It's in Morrow. So it's about 20 minutes south of Atlanta. So not far at all if you live in and around the Atlanta area. The website is claytoneyecenter.com and I'm listed as one of the doctors under the doctors section. Again, Dr. Robateau. I am the only Black doctor at that location. So you will not miss me if you look up if you look me up on the website. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so you heard it. If you need any kind of assistance or you just want to get information, because this has been very informative. I did not know all that about, the benefits or the reasons why you should go get your eyes checked out, and
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's some light that you just shed some light on me, and things of that nature. So if you are in the Atlanta area, make sure you go see her and get the, information and get your eyes checked out. You want to make sure
Absolutely.
everything is going
It's
well and everything
okay.
is good.
And
Yep.
even if you're not in the Atlanta area, go somewhere where you are. That would be my one takeaway point from this whole podcast is
Okay.
make sure you get your eyes checked once a year because good vision does not equal a healthy eye. And especially if you know you have other systemic issues going on in your body, you definitely want to make sure that you get your eyes checked to make sure they're not affecting your eyes at all. So
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, you heard it here first. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Ayana Robateau, and she is in Atlanta, and she's an optometrist. And like I always tell everybody before we wrap it up, keep it country, keep it cowboy, and God bless America. Appreciate you for coming on. Thank you.
thank you, Travis. I
All right.
appreciate you. I love the platform.
All right. Appreciate it.